top. All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this Thursday afternoon. Another edition of KFTV Live presented by SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com or use the SeatGeek app. Use our code KFTV10 for 10% off your order. We got to recap the debacle that was the NBA Cup quarterfinals matchup at the Garden, man. Knicks getting embarrassed by Trae Young and the Hawks. Trae getting the last laugh, the dice roll, all of that good stuff, man. We got to talk about it with our guy, Knicks Insider, covering the Knicks for the New York Post. Our guy, Stefan Bondy, is in the building. We're going to talk some Mitchell Robinson injury updates, see where things are with the Block Nest Monster. That and much more. Second half of the show, my guy Iman Nunez will join us as well, man. So lock in, hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. So to everybody in the chat, man. We are live on just about everywhere, man. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, X, Bleacher Report, Instagram, and of course YouTube, man. So lock in. All right, Steph, how you feeling, man?
I'm good, man. You know, I thought I might be going to Vegas, and instead I'm sitting back at home, and I got to go to Orlando instead. So that was a pretty crazy game, and I can imagine disappointing to watch for Knicks fans.
Man, it was tough, man. Really a tale of two halves, but you know, I had to give the Hawks a lot of credit, man. I thought defensively they really stifled the Knicks, especially in that second half. They outscored the Knicks 61-48. Their wings were just taking it to the Knicks on both ends of the court. And it was just a tough go, man. Knicks just could not close them out.
For sure. And I mean, what I saw is a young team in the Hawks. It's more athletic, quicker. And they just, like you said, they just looked like they were more motivated and more athletic and faster than the Knicks. That's what I saw out there as well. So that was disheartening, I think.
Yeah, and that's the problem, man, because that's starting to be the trend. Like, we can always say, you know, things are early and they need time to gel and they need time to come together. But I think almost physically they seem to be outmatched, maybe not overmatched, but outmatched by these more scrappier athletic teams. The Rockets, Utah did the same thing. The Pacers did the same thing to them. They seem to not, have a tough time. They seem to have a tough time with those type of teams.
Yeah, and part of it is the switching stuff that we talked about a lot in the earlier season, where teams that switch 1 through 5, they can deal with the Knicks a little bit better because they can get out on Cat and a guy like Dylan Brooks. I mean, he was a one-man wrecking crew against the Knicks in that Houston game. But, some of this was expected, and I'm with you. I don't want to hear anymore about, oh, we need more time to put this together. I mean, they've played 25 games now, and when you look at the health of this team, I haven't looked at the numbers, but I would venture to guess that there's not another starting lineup that's played as many minutes together as this starting lineup. Cat's missed maybe 2 games, I think, but everybody else has played every game. So, the cohesion should be at a point where it's a lot better. And I was hoping to see, more of a linear progression in terms of, them coming together and finding an identity. And they've just been inconsistent. So I think those are all big concerns right now.
And with that 5, obviously a lot of attention is on Mikal Bridges, and rightfully so, with the trade and how much they paid for him and his inconsistency. But I'm almost starting to wonder, especially within that 5, and I see him struggling with these quicker, speedier guards all the time. Is he out of position defensively at the 2-guard spot? Because he is supposed to be covering, especially between him and Hart, they're supposed to be covering for Jalen Brunson and covering for his defensive efficiencies. But we see time and time again at the point of attack where speedier guards are just blowing right past them. And now you have not just Brunson and Towns, who are less than average defenders, but now Mikal Bridges is almost at that spot when he's guarding these opposing guards.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I've listened to your show before where I think you had Evan Roberts on, and this is something that he said that I've heard throughout the league as well, that when Mikal was in Brooklyn, this downturn in defending had started there. The excuse was, well, he had so much on his plate offensively. And so it would be impossible to ask him to be the number one guy offensively and then always to guard the team's best defender on the other end and do that, with the type of energy that it needs. So the thought was he comes to New York. He's now the third option offensively. He's going to have a lot more energy to play defense, and he'd go back to what he was in his early years in Phoenix. We haven't seen that right now, and I agree with you. I don't know about out of position. I don't know where else could you put him.
Right.
At the three to guard the three, and then you have questions about who's going to go. Where is Josh Hart and OG Anunoby going to go? So listen, he does need to be better defensively. He's done it in spurts, but he has not done it consistently. I definitely agree with you on that.
And when you talk about especially last night with the Hawks, man, I mean, 22
Yeah.
offensive rebounds.
And I want to say this
Yeah,
too,
good,
because
good.
you mentioned that. I mean, you compare the type of defensive effort that you saw from the Knicks, and not just Mikal Bridges, just
Mhm.
all around. And then you look at what guy like Dyson Daniels can do.
Smothered him.
That is an elite defender. I am so impressed with what he's become, and it wasn't just the game last night; it was also the game in Atlanta where
Yeah.
he just locked in and locked down Jalen Brunson. I don't know if Jalen's had a worse game this season. I could go back to early in the season, maybe he did, but he did not look good, and a large part of that is because of Dyson Daniels.
He shut him down both games, man. He did not allow him to get comfortable, did not allow him to get to his spots, blocked the 3-point attempt. He's staying down on the Brunson pivots. Brunson has that footwork where he's able to separate from guys. Well, not really from Dyson Daniels. And so for Jalen Brunson last night, he was left with taking a lot of tough shots, and a lot of them just weren't falling for him last night, man.
Yeah, and I think a lot of their offense, and this is kind of a problem, is that it's predicated on their shooting team. You knew that when they acquired Karl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges, they are going to be, a top threat offensively in terms of shooting the 3-point ball. But if that's not falling, they don't have much else to generate, right? I mean, they have no post game to speak of. Josh Hart can get downhill and score in transition, but their half court offense really struggles if the 3-point shot isn't there. So you're going to have games where, like last night, where they're just not, they go up against a tough defense and the 3-point ball's not going in. They're going to have problems
Yeah.
in games like that, for sure.
And that is where it's a stark difference in identities, because in the previous 4 years under Tibbs, they always had that rebounding identity. So
Hmm.
even if it was a night where they're building bricks, they were going to get the second chance opportunities to stay in the game, on top of their defense being much, much better. But you have no Mitch. Ihart is gone. He's thriving right now in OKC. DiVincenzo, Randall, like, they just don't have that same grit, man. And they get out hustled almost every night.
Yeah, and that's why, listen, this next game, they have 3 days off now before they play in Orlando. And I know Orlando is undefeated at home. They're 10-0. They're missing their two best players. I think this is a big game because you lose this game in Orlando. Where do you go next?
Yeah.
Minnesota. Minnesota. Guess what people are going to be talking about? You don't have DiVincenzo and Julius Randle, and they lost their identity, and suddenly the narratives start to build up. I think this is an important get right game for the Knicks coming up in Orlando.
Yeah.
Bigger than any 20, game number 26 should suggest, but this is a big game.
That is true, man. Definitely a big game. No Franz, no Paolo. The Knicks, but a scrappy and a good defensive Orlando team that's going to make it tough. They even made it tough on a good Bucks team or a rising Bucks team in the other NBA Cup quarterfinal matchup. So that was tough. And then how about the dice game, man? How about the dice game celebration at the end by Trae Young, putting the icing on the cake? That was embarrassing, man. That was embarrassing.
Yeah,
Steph. Come on, man.
so I got to ask you, what do you think the Knicks should have done something, responded? Here's my take. I'll
Yeah.
give you my take first. If they did anything, it wouldn't have been post game. I thought Jalen had the right
Yeah.
response. We should have won. It would have been in that moment where he's celebrating, the clock is going down, and Josh Hart, who was right next to him, because it should have been Josh Hart,
Yeah.
just blitzes him and tries to steal the ball. I'm not saying flagrant foul.
Yeah.
I'm saying try to steal the ball right there. He's clearly gloating. He's on your logo. Try to steal the ball, and if you pick up a common foul, you pick up a common foul. Not a flagrant foul, a common foul. I think that would have been the proper response. Instead, they kind of just, went back to locker room with their tails between their legs.
That was tough, man. Look, I'm not advocating for violence, man. But they're just too chummy and nice with these guys. And that's why I say the whole rivalry with Trae Young, it's between the fans and Trae Young, not the Knicks and the Hawks. Because none of these Knicks on this team were even on that team when Trae Young first came into Madison Square Garden and embarrassed him. I said, not even Taj Gibson is on this team. You know what I'm saying? So
it's crazy. Not one, bro. It's crazy.
Not one.
But I don't blame Trae Young. This man has been listening to the fans besmirch his name, besmirch his hairline, and I'm not one to talk. I don't got a hairline, but let him do his thing. He pulled out that win at the end. He played very well towards the end of that game, and he started playing CeeLo. On the Knicks logo, which is crazy.
You can't have that, man. It's on the garden floor. It's like when T.O. was on the Niners and he tried to embarrass the Cowboys on the Star and George Teague came and checked it. That's all we're looking for, man. Just stand up and have some pride for your building, man. Not like that. But I mean, like you said, go for the foul.
Go for the foul.
Get a little physical right there. I mean, for crying out loud, Elfrid Payton showed more pride as a Knick when he threw Jay Crowder into the stands. You were there for that, right?
That's right. And I imagine somebody like Julius Randle would have got ticked off.
Maybe the big ragu.
But he's been getting ticked. Remember during that Pacers series, he was real upset at Miles Turner. He had that fire. I don't think anybody currently on this Knicks team, aside from Josh Hart, I thought Josh Hart would have been the guy to do something there. Yeah. And he didn't talk post game. I imagine.
How come? Why do you think he didn't speak last post game?
I just have a theory. I have no idea the real reason, but my theory would be he was pissed off about the officiating and he didn't want to get fined. I think the whole team was pissed off about the officiating. I think they're too often pissed off about the officiating. Yeah. And it's something that they need to relax about, especially during games. I mean, I see situations where they're yelling at a referee and they're getting killed on transition defense.
That's part of it.
So I think that they need to chill out with that. But that's my theory as to why Josh Hart, who is great with the media, speaks every post game, even speaks pregame, did not speak yesterday. That's my theory.
Yeah, I noticed it. I was there, and especially when he doesn't get the calls, it kind of takes him out of his game. He starts to play angrier, but also that could work against him. Karl-Anthony Towns notorious for that. As soon as he hits the deck, the team is going on a 5-4 run, and you're getting hurt in transition, or he's slowing down because he needs to complain. I get it. Even Tibbs called the refs out last night, which I was kind of surprised. I mean, my thought was they went to the free throw line 15 times. It was part of the game. The refs were letting it go. You got to fight through it.
Yeah.
And I just don't see that fight from them.
You look at the foul differential. I don't remember the numbers, but it wasn't like, oh, well, that's a big difference.
It wasn't crazy.
It was almost the same.
Yeah.
So I'm with you, and you mentioned, it's funny you mentioned the cat falling to the ground thing because he does it a lot. And I spoke with an assistant coach recently who said Cat probably leads the league in falling to the ground.
Yeah,
and he looks for a foul a lot, and that's fine. Getting to the foul line is an important and efficient way to score. But if it's hurting you in transition defense because the other teams are seeing that, and you're taking a while to get up on the floor, that becomes a detriment.
It's on the tape, so. Yeah. They got to be careful there because that's part of why that transition defense has been so porous. I'm gonna get to the Mitch. I got this Mitch soundbite from Shams. I want you to react to it, and then we'll get into the Mitch stuff. But also last night, late in that game, they went at Precious pretty heavy. They were getting after it on the boards. There was no rim protection, and you even saw Tibbs, who went to Sims for like a 2-minute intermission.
One mistake. He got one mistake again.
Right?
And then Tibbs was like, all right, that's enough. I've seen it again. What do you think? The Sims stuff is interesting to me because for so long, and I want your opinion too, Tibbs was defending him when everybody else was killing him about how important he was to this team, how, what he does and impacts, the game. It doesn't show up in the box score and he doesn't get the credit he deserves. And in the last three, basically since Precious has been back, his hook on Sims has been so quick. If he makes one mistake, that's it. He's not getting back in the game. So I do wonder, where did this come from? Why did he all of a sudden decide, well, Sims has absolutely no more rope with me?
It,
I think that's an interesting development.
it doesn't really add up, especially if you're going to look at the statistics and tell me that Sims is one of the best in the league in terms of percentage at the rim as a defender. And then all of a sudden, Precious comes back and Sims gets 0 minutes. I think that's Tibbs wanting to really stick to that shorter 8-man rotation, get them into a rhythm, get them to gel. He's always about that, right? He wants that consistency, but there's no flexibility here, especially when the Hawks are getting rebound after rebound after rebound and out hustling you on the boards. They got 66 points in the paint, and then you're going to Sims with 6 minutes left in the fourth, knowing that you're ultimately going to go to Towns with 3 minutes left.
Yep. And he would have done it sooner, but I'm telling you, he saw one mistake by Sims, just immediately called for Towns. And there was a few plays there before, he got a chance to actually sub him out. I think they called a timeout or something. But he was ready to take him out after like a minute. And this goes to the problem that, I've written about, everybody's talking about, the depth problem. You trade Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle for one player. At one point before that trade, we were looking, well, maybe Mitch will start, maybe Jericho Sims will start at center. You have one of the best benches in the NBA. You have Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo coming off the bench. Now their depth is completely depleted. They have Miles McBride and sometimes just throw, Precious Achiuwa, obviously, but, they have one of the shortest rotations in the NBA, and it's going to be a problem. And we knew it was going to be a problem, and that's kind of what's propping its head up right now.
Yeah, now it's going to be left to be seen. They still have more work to do with what they have left between the little amount of money that they have left and the draft pick, second round pick, late round pick every other year, whatever you want to call it. How are they going to shore up that depth? That's going to be a very interesting thing to see how Leon and those guys are able to navigate that. But on the Mitch topic, let's get to it. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. TP the franchise, Stefan Bondy of the New York Post. All right, this was Shams during the pregame show with the Mitchell Robinson update. Here's what he had to say, and I want to hear what you have to say on that one. Here we go.
From their starting lineup, it's one of the best starting lineups in the league. But you think about the bench. We've been talking about their bench depth all season. Yeah. Mitchell Robinson is the name to keep an eye on. He's someone, I'm told he's unlikely to get cleared until at least late January into February. So that pushes his timeline a little bit. So they need to see exactly whether he comes back and he's healthy and can play, or do you look into the market? Because they do potentially need another big man off the bench.
So they're saying January, February.
It keeps getting pushed back.
It keeps getting pushed, man. What are you hearing? What do you think?
Yeah, so, from the very beginning, the word was December, January, but that is completely, there's no set date. Everything can change based on how his rehab goes. And, I actually talked to his agent fairly recently, and he kind of just echoed the Knicks line of it's a step-by-step process. I have not heard any enthusiasm in terms of, well, he's really, about 2 steps away from coming back, or he's on the verge of coming back. That has never been said to me. And I've seen Mitch around, on the road. I think there's 2 things. There's the actual health with his ankle, which needs to get cleared up before he even starts running. He has not started running yet. And there's also the conditioning aspect. I think we all know that when Mitch has come back from long-term injuries, he's out of shape. Yeah. So it's a multi-tiered process of getting this guy back on the court, not only so that he's healthy enough, but also that he can sustain that health. And in order to sustain that health, he needs to be in shape. So, he's got a lot to work on. And I've always been of the mindset of I'm not convinced Mitch is going to come back until I see him back on the court.
Damn.
I mean, listen, I want, I'm sure he's working hard right now to get back on the court, but this was a guy who originally had his first surgery in December. They then said, remember they applied for a designated player exception, like he was going to miss the entire season. He came back a little earlier than expected. He then suffered another injury, and at the time, this was during the playoffs, during the Joel Embiid stuff, the Knicks said that this was a minor procedure. They said he was going to be ready for training camp. Now it's December 12th, he still hasn't come back. So, I don't want to count my eggs before they hatch kind of deal with Mitchell Robinson, and that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, man, I agree with you, man. It's gonna be a tough sledding, an uphill climb, and it could be like he was saying, January, February, just maybe until he even gets into shape.
That's a big part of it. It's a big part of it, and remember, he's had the surgery on both feet now, and big men and foot problems is a bad recipe. And I remember when he broke his other foot, he had setbacks too.
Right.
I mean, he was supposed to come back earlier than he did. Now he came back and he was great for a while.
Yeah.
But when you have surgery to both feet, it's like, oh man, you're just one bad step or bad turn away from being out again.
And so as it pertains to the trade deadline, your trade deadline coming up in February, what options do they even have outside of hoping that he comes back, hoping Shamet comes back, maybe they bring Warren up, because the only tradable assets you have are the guys that you need. You need Precious, you need Mitch. You can't trade Deuce.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, they have the 2 protected picks, right? They have Detroit and Washington.
Washington and Detroit, yeah.
Now, those aren't going to convey this year.
Definitely not.
Maybe, I mean, Detroit's is like maybe. It's possible, but definitely not Washington.
Definitely not Washington.
So those aren't very valuable. I still think that if they, they can go out and get like Derrick Rose, for instance, during the pandemic year, they got him for nothing. They got him for a 2nd-round pick and Dennis Smith Jr. So if you can find something like that, a veteran that wants to play in New York, that a team says, all right, we got to get rid of this guy, or else we're going to lose him for nothing. Maybe something like that comes up, and don't forget, Derrick Rose really helped that team.
Big time. He became the best player to me when he got here.
Yeah. So listen, there's a possibility you could find somebody that can really help you right now. I mean, if you're asking me to identify who that is, I can't do that right now.
It's hard to say because we never really knew at those deadlines that they were getting those guys. I mean, when they got Rose, when they got Josh Hart, they always seem to be able to get something on the margins. That's why I'm a little bit more confident in Leon and those guys because, they're going to need it, man. They're definitely going to need that help.
And I know Tibbs loves Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Butler's out there, but that they spent their assets to get assets to get Mikal Bridges, so they're not in that business anymore.
Stuck, completely stuck, man. Damn. All right, well, next game is going to be Sunday in Orlando. No Vegas for the Knicks. Who do you think is going to win the NBA Cup, man? If you care, man, do you care?
The Milwaukee Bucks are on fire, so. I've always been a big Giannis fan. I think he's the best player. I know people don't agree with me, but I think he's still the best player in the NBA.
Okay.
The most dominant player in the NBA, the most dominant big man since Shaquille O'Neal. So, I'm not the biggest believer in Doc Rivers, but I am a big believer in Giannis Antetokounmpo, so I'm going to pick the Milwaukee Bucks.
I like OKC, man. They're so stacked. My guy iHeart is thriving over there. I want to see him get that watch. Josh Hart's talking about he wants the AP. I want to see iHeart get the AP, man. He got the bag this offseason. I want to see him get the watch. They looking good, though, man. SGA. Yeah, they got Shooter Caruso.
So as a Knicks fan, you watching iHeart, you're happy for him.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean,
you're not like, oh, he ditched us.
Nah, you got to take that bag, man, because it's like for a guy like him, that's the best it's probably gonna get. You know what I mean?
That's true.
When's the next time you're going to be able to double up like that? That's the best time for him. And with a big man, you just never know.
I agree with you, because the big men don't get paid like that anymore.
Nah.
Aside from Nick Claxton, that contract is, I don't understand that one. But, yeah, I mean, iHeart was a good fit, and he found the right money. Good for him, man. I'm with you.
Absolutely, man. Before we wrap, you were honored by the Pro Hoops writers, man. Tell us about this award and how it came about.
So there's a contest that the Basketball Writers Union has every year, and I wrote a column about Greg Popovich, and it won first place. And I was surprised to get a trophy that was so awesome. I tweeted out a picture of it. I mean, it looks like the NBA trophy.
Yeah, it does.
Man, I got it shining in a good light and everything. Yeah. So, I got a very positive reaction, and I'm honored to win that. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's good, man. And considering with Popovich, what's going on with him these days, I'm sure that was very valuable to you as well, man. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not what you think. I was kind of ripping Popovich.
Oh, man.
But I wrote it before he had his health problems. So I didn't know that was going to happen. Yeah. But there was an exchange I had with him once where it was after a Knicks game, and his team got torn apart by the Knicks. Mm-hmm. And this is when the Knicks were bad. And I asked him about his defense, and he got real snippy with me, and then he started slapping himself. The clip is out there if anybody ever wants to find it. He literally started slapping himself, and I used that as the lead into the column, which basically ripped him for how he treated the Spurs fans after the Kawhi Leonard stuff. I don't remember if you remember last season. That. Spurs fans started booing Kawhi Leonard, and then Greg Popovich grabbed the mic. So that's what the whole column was about. If you, it's free on NewYorkPost.com if you ever want to find it.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll put it out there, man. Paste it in the chat. Definitely appreciate the time, man. Let's definitely do it again. Safe travels to Orlando, and let's do it, man. Stefan Bondy, New York Post. Appreciate you, Steph.
All right, man. Appreciate you having me.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was our guy, Stefan Bondy of the New York Post, in the building. Salute to everybody in the chat, man. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Yeah, man. Salute to Steph, man. Dropping gems in here. Salute to you guys on the Bleacher Report side, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Shout out to everybody tapping in, man. On the Bleacher Report side, we are going to drop you guys off. Shout out to Suhu Han on the Bleacher Report side. He's talking about the game last night. He said, just want the Knicks to show some fight, hoping that Mitchell Robinson comes back soon. The starting rotation looked gassed at the end of the game. Yeah, now you're right, man. But this team right now, they need someone like Mitch. But just as you heard Steph talk about, and he's right, how much confidence do we really have that Mitch can come in and, hate to say save the day, but be a mainstay with this rotation and really help this rotation overcome their deficiencies, because they do have it. And it's almost, to a point where, like, I don't even want to speak on the Knicks offense and all of that league-leading offense, because they can't defend. No defense, no rebounds, no rings. It's just that simple. But Suhu-san, appreciate the comment on the Bleacher Report side. Bleacher Report, we're going to drop you guys off. And I'm going to bring my next guest in, my guy, diehard Knicks fan.
Hey.
Leading the New York hip-hop revolution, I should say, man. Iman Nunez in the building. How you feeling, man? Welcome to the show, man.
You know what? I'm happy to be here, but I wish we could have been a little bit more joyous about yesterday.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
That brought my mood down a lot. So I was just like, damn, I'm here watching, getting ready and everything. And it's just like, come on, we got to talk about this now? So
I really wanted to bring you in on off of a win, man. I really did, man. But,
man, just happy to be here, though.
Yeah, just one of those things, man. How you feeling about, how did you feel about last night's tough loss, man?
As I'm watching, I thought we had it in the bag at first, and then we had the disastrous third quarter, like the history of us always doing bad in the third quarter for some odd reason. And I'm just noticing certain things as we continue to, as the season goes on and stuff, like something that's starting to really annoy me is this miscommunication thing on defense.
Yeah.
Like every time I'm seeing OG, it's always with, I don't know what it is, but I'm seeing OG in the middle of it every single time. Like nobody's switching with him. And then there's always somebody that's open to make a shot. And it's something like, and I'll see Tibbs screaming every single time. And then that clip that went around of like Precious and Mikal switching or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you see Tibbs getting pissed off again. And then it's like, all right, cool, I'm gonna fix it the next time. But it's like, it's happening too much. And I'm not liking this.
Yeah, it's tough, man. And the players even acknowledge it. They even acknowledge that that the communication is just not where it needs to be right now on the defensive end. And so, between that, the Bridges situation, they're getting lobs thrown over their head. How many times did the Hawks get an alley-oop last night in that fourth quarter, man?
It was nasty. You're seeing them wide open too. You see Clint Capella get in there, Kongu, everybody is like, it's like the Knicks they want to choose when to play defense, and that's not gonna cut it. Cause last year, with iHeart there, and I hate to even bring that up because that's our guy, regardless if he's gone. Man. You feel me? That's it. But we were the best offensive rebounding team in the league, right? Now what? We're 24th or something like that. And even with rebounds, we're 24th again. Last year, we were 5th. So it's just like you're seeing such a big drop off, and we understand what was coming in with Cat. Like incredible offensive player. Defensively, he has his even though yesterday, I'm not gonna lie, the first half I was seeing 3 blocks, 3 steals.
Yeah, that was a good sequence last night, man. When they closed out that for halftime, I went into the Delta Club, got some dinner. I'm like, yo, we're moving and grooving right now.
I was like, who is this guy right now? So I was excited. I'm thinking, you know what? All right, we got a new revelation right now. Let's see where this goes. But then it's like, what everybody just forgot how to play. And then Brunson had a terrible night yesterday because but you got to give credit to Dyson Daniels.
Yeah. Dyson Daniels is on point, man. He's on point. Him. He's that voice. He's good, man. Talented defender, bro.
100%. And I think the problem that I have with this Hawks thing is more than ever is because, my father's a Knicks fan as well.
Okay.
He's not like me. He's just more like, let me know when we're in the playoffs.
Okay. He's one of them types. He's been burned for so long by this team. He can't deal with the day to day.
So I remember when we were in the playoffs, the year that we had we were the 4th seed and we were going against Atlanta.
Yeah.
I took him to the first home game of the playoff game.
Yeah, I was there. Crazy.
Yeah. So I remember and he's starting to feel that energy now of back. Oh, yo, we're actually good.
Yeah.
And we lose. It's like that. I think losing to the Hawks, it just feels a little different because realistically, this is not even though they've been a little scrappy and stuff, I don't feel like with the talent that we have, we should not be losing.
Yeah.
And I get it. We may not have the greatest chemistry at first, and that takes time and all that. But as of right now, it's just, I guess it just burns a little more every time it's the Hawks.
Yeah. And then they let my guy roll dice on the logo, man.
Bro.
In the Mecca, man.
Bro.
I mean, it's getting to new lows the way guys come into the Madison Square Garden and just think that they can have their way, just walk out.
And you know what? I just don't. I think it's because of the fact that it's just like, they want their Madison Square Garden moment every single time.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even look at Steph Curry. Steph Curry had his Steph Curry game against us.
It's true.
That was. I remember watching that. That was terrible. I was just like, oh, the guy who hurts his ankles every time. The guy what?
Yeah.
This is him. So it's just like, and I don't know what it's going to take. I want Mitch back, even though I've been, for years, though I love Mitch, I'm a big believer of the best ability is availability at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And he is a big man that has a lot of feet problems.
Yeah.
So it's just like, that doesn't get any better.
Right.
So are we going to continue to keep this whole thing going of, all right, maybe he's going to be healthy at this time, maybe he won't. Are we going to go get a replacement? I'm already seeing the reports of all these different replacements. I'm like, this is cool and all that. But it's just like, what are we going to – we need a consistent big that's going to be able to be kind of opposite of Cat in a way, but defensively more than ever. But it's like, again, do you feel comfortable even pairing them together? Because I love Josh Hart in the starting lineup. I think he makes the game faster. He brings the ball up easier. He's gonna make quicker decisions with things. But everything just takes time, and I'm curious to see where we're about to go with this.
Yeah, true indeed, man. CP the franchise, my guy Iman Nunez in the building. Salute to everybody in the chats, wherever you guys are watching from, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X. The lunchtime live stream, man, presented by SeatGeek. Remember to support our sponsors over at SeatGeek, man. Whenever you guys are looking for your tickets, whether it's at home at MSG or on the road, use our code KFTV10 at SeatGeek or using the SeatGeek app and get 10% off your order up to $20. So definitely a good deal. Make sure you guys are looking for the green dots when you go on SeatGeek. Those are the good to great to amazing deals, which means you're going to get something, a good value for your money. The red dots, probably not what you're going to be looking for. Maybe wait and see if the price drops. So look in a different section. So SeatGeek.com or use the SeatGeek app for 10% off your order. Okay. All righty, Iman, man. Well, listen, man, at the end of the day, look, it was a tough loss yesterday. Squad is still 15-10. They got a big game against Orlando. Well, what has been the thing that's impressed you the most about this team so far this season?
I think the thing that's impressed me the most is how unselfish they are being with the ball. That was a problem that we had when Julius was here. Yeah. And I know everybody has their thing about Julius. Yeah. I like Julius. I'm a Julius guy.
Yeah. Well, I don't. So it's my show, man. Go ahead, man. You go ahead, man. Let it off your chest, man. You do. I wasn't Julius Hive like these other people. So go ahead, man. It's okay.
I like Julius, man. I do. He has his faults and all that stuff, but I do like the toughness. Yeah. I like when we had that identity of that because it rubs off on everybody else if you really think about it too. Like, look, we even have the center whisperer Tibbs with us here. Yeah. Like, as you see what's happening with Hartenstein, one of the best centers right now. He's flourishing in OKC. So I think, yes, we lost some guys, but some of the stuff that's impressing me is the fact that we're shooting way better, but we can't keep living and dying by the three because, we shot 29% yesterday? And it was just brutal. So I do love the fact that we're one of the best 3-point shooting teams. We're one of the best free throw shooting teams, even though as of late, some of the games we've been missing some, like Brunson and even seeing Cat miss some. It was just like, come on, bro, and OG. Let's see. The unselfishness, the 3-point shooting, it's like the opposite of a Tibbs team is weird. Like,
it is. It's the complete opposite.
So it's been kind of cool to just see, okay, how are you maneuvering with this? But how long is this going to last? Because we're not seeing the consistency. Sometimes we're on a stretch and we'll be like, oh, we're the best team. And then you see the media cover it and all that because they Knicks for clicks. We got to talk about the Knicks in order for things to go on and all that stuff. But it's like, I know that we can't, with this squad right now, it doesn't feel like, it feels like something is missing. Yeah. And maybe that's Mitch. Maybe it is. But what do you think? What has been impressing you?
I mean, definitely the offense. They've never been this good offensively. They've never been this cohesive offensively in the way that they move the ball, the way that they move off ball, their body movement, the way that they cut, the way that they relocate to three, their shooting ability. Like, they've never been this talented as a starting unit. And look, even McBride, man, I like the way McBride comes in and approaches the game off of the bench. And his jumpers have been pure as of this year for sure. So offensively, man, they're great. But I've always been a defensive guy. That's how these guys you see behind me on these posters, man. It was all about grit and grind. Grit and grind. Houston was the guy. Like, Houston was, outside of viewing the Knicks, like, best offensive player that was just a pure shooter. You know what I mean? But a lot of the other guys outside of that, it was more grit and grind, hustle, hard work, getting after it. But the Knicks, they're just missing that right now. And hard to put all the eggs in a Mitchell Robinson basket. We'll see what happens at the trade deadline. And we'll see what happens as the game goes, man. They're 25 games in. Let's see if they could bounce back and get some chemistry going.
How do you feel, like, if we were to get a replacement for Mitch, like a backup center or something like that, or power forward, who is on your list of, like, all right, you know what? I think this will be perfect for us, and we could rely on this a little more.
That's tough because of his injury history. Yeah. And then with his contract, right? Because based on where they are right now, it's going to be hard for them to aggregate salaries to bring somebody in. So you're probably looking at more of a one-to-one situation. You know, is it like a Valanciunas or somebody like that? Like it's going to be hard to find his one-to-one replacement in terms of impact or potential impact when he's out there. His ability to offensive rebound, protect the rim. When he's healthy, he's one of the best in those in those categories. Yeah. So you're almost talking about, you know, using those whatever draft picks you have remaining whenever you can draft and trying to find lightning in a bottle. But that's going to be pretty tough right now. You know, Moses Brown was a guy that they had in their G League. He went to Indiana, had one great game. Knicks were crowning him the next Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Knicks fans. And then he gets cut by Indiana. So now he's out there on the scrap heap again. You know, I don't know if that's an area that they look at again. We'll have to see, man. Time will tell.
How do you feel about Huck Porty?
My guy Huckamania is all right, man. Matter of fact, he's gonna be rocking his Huckamania T-shirt at the next Knick game, man. We just sent him.
Word.
Yeah. He's a friend of the program, man. Blockness Monster, Mitchell Robinson as well. So, look, Scrappy, he did hurt his ankle yesterday or day before. They sent him to Westchester and he hurt his ankle. Yeah. Scrappy player, definitely gives him energy, gives him good hustle. Let's see, can him and Karl Anthony Towns play together? What will he add to that Knicks defense? They have no choice at this point but to give Huck Porty and even Sims more playing time this season because, just as we heard, Mitchell Robinson is going to take a while to get back. You don't know what you're going to trade for. They have no choice but to integrate these guys and hope that they can get better over time.
Man, I'm not a Sims guy. I'm not.
You're not a simulation guy.
Yo, it's... Every time I watch, I keep trying to give a chance because once you're here, you know, we got to root for even whatever we feel about you. Nobody else could talk bad about you. Yeah. That's you're with us.
Yeah.
But the problem with Sims that I have is that he looks like he's never ready. And this is what I mean by that. They'll pass him the ball, he's fumbling. He goes for a rebound. It's like he's still dropping the ball. Like it's not like what is it? You try to do too much sometimes, and then you lose the ball because you're having your moment. And I get it. I feel like he's getting that treatment of like what Obi was getting with Tibbs, that if you make this little one mistake, it's like, all right, off to the bench.
Yeah.
So I can understand that pressure might be, you know, difficult to deal with. But at the end of the day, it's like, bro, we've had Sims for this long. We've had McBride for this long. Even McBride stepped up.
Yeah.
So, all right, Quick is going to be out of there. This is my new role. This is my time to shine. He worked on his shot. He kept working on his defense. An incredible defense already. But it's just like, yo, he wanted it. Not to say that Sims doesn't. It's just it's taking a little longer. And it's like, how much longer is this going to be to see a difference?
Yeah. That's a fair point. Definitely a fair point. I just think at this moment in time, like, They just don't have much choice. Like beggars can't be choosers at this moment. Yeah. But they have to provide that front line with help. They need to get these guys some minutes because your starters are just going to get worn down as the season progresses, man. And then once April comes, they're going to be useless to you. So
absolutely,
they absolutely have to tread lightly there. Salute to everybody in the chat, man. Hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. We got a good crowd here on the YouTube side. My YouTube franchise channel members, if you are in the chat on this lunchtime live, go ahead and salute us in the chat, and we will shout you guys out. Everybody watching on IG, I see you guys in the building. Flowmatic, I see you in here. Salute. Seal82 says we need more Huck Porty. Salute to Seal82. Yes,
sir. I agree. 100%.
Yeah. He says Sims has stone hands. He can never catch. He's not wrong about that. Gucci Gaines says defense win championships. No, absolutely, man. Knicks have to get back to that. Let's shout out to Rhyme Animal Chuck D. Iman, $5 super chat from him, franchise channel member as well. Says Mitchie is great, but he's our Kawhi. We gambled and lost iHeart rewarding blocks. The Blockness Monster, probably an honorable yet bad move in hindsight, man.
Great point.
Yeah.
And salute to the legend.
Yeah, man. Salute to the legend. Absolutely. Shout out to Wise Guy. I see you. Will Harper. Ill Will. Salute. Eric L. Beats. DJ Eric L. Beats, man. KFTV resident DJ in the chat. Shout out to Father Peace. Always in here. Mike, I see you as well. All right, Iman. It's time for the next segment of today's show. And that is Worst Take. And on Worst Take, we go around and we react to sound bites that are relevant to the New York Knicks. You know, everybody's got a podcast. Everybody's got sound bites as it relates to the orange and blue. So
Yes,
on today's episode of Worst Take, you know, there has been a lot made of the Roommates podcast, and you have some fans, especially on Knicks Twitter. You know, Knicks Twitter can be an angry bunch. And some of these guys are coming at these guys, and Jalen and Josh are saying, man, you guys got to get wins. You're not winning, man. You know, put down a podcast. So here was Jalen Brunson. He reacted to some of the naysayers who have an issue with these guys running the Roommates pod. So we're going to play the soundbite, and then I want to hear your reaction to it, and we'll react to it on the other side. Here we go.
You know what I mean? We had a game yesterday. This is a wild thing.
I mean, it's like every person outside of like the professional world where like there's like a spotlight on you has like what they do, what they love, and then they have like a little thing on the side that they love to do. Right. Mm-hmm. So I feel like me and Josh and Matt, like we just like the amount of times we hang out, we just like start talking about random stuff, and like, oh, like we have like good chemistry. We can actually make something out of it. And then it definitely gets criticized a lot. A lot.
What are your thoughts on that? What do you think about that?
I think personally, like if I listen to every opinion that someone says about what I did or what I do, I would not be in the NBA. There's always going to be like, everything's a roller coaster ride. There's going to be ups and downs. It's just like, as long as you stay focused on the main thing, you do that first.
Yes.
Right? At least is do it to the best of your abilities and then go forward. Then
I think it's cool that you guys get to frame the narrative.
Yeah.
That was like not I mean, you obviously knew this growing up, the players we'd watched.
Right.
Whoever was in the media got to just, all right, Gary Payton's this, Kevin Garnett's this. You know what I mean? But you guys get to be like, no, that's not true.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty dope.
We get to address it on our own terms.
There was like, I mean, there's been I feel like a bunch of moments on the pod where I've been grateful that we have one. All
right, so I'm going to skip that part. That part's not important. Yeah. So your thoughts. Is it an issue with these guys having a pod? And, you know, at the same time, the team is not playing up to expectations, man. What do you think, man?
It's funny because I actually have this discussion in the group chats all the time. And we'll have, you know, us Knicks fans will just talk about all this stuff because I have one that will call me every time. You see how your boy did today? He's doing that because of the pod. And all that. I'm just like, all right, so you know what? Here's my thought on it, right?
Yeah.
Do people expect these players to be practicing 24/7?
It's fair.
Do they not have a social life? Do they not have, and on top of that, you're doing it with your teammate. So I feel this. You spend an hour or two a day out of the 24 hours we have, out of your busy schedule and stuff. What is the problem? Because at the end of the day, like what Brunson's saying, you're doing what you need to do first.
Yeah.
In order to get that out the way. Everybody has free time throughout a day. Realistically, nobody is gonna lock himself in himself in a room all day and just like, oh, I'm not gonna do anything. Yeah. I don't need to be seen.
Except for Kobe. You know
except for Kobe.
Kobe seemed like he was living in the gym. You know what I mean? LeBron too.
So it's like, it's just, I feel like I could see where they're coming from because there's distractions and stuff, but I feel like there's strong-minded people that first off, I feel like the majority of athletes have to be strong-minded to even be in there to begin with.
True. You right? be where? To be in the NBA. Got you. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
So to be in the NBA, to be doing sports or anything like that, that's like hitting the lottery for a lot of people and stuff. And you have to have a certain type of determination. To throw that all away because you have a podcast? You think I'm just gonna play worse because I have a podcast? There's times that they dropped episodes that they filmed days ago and they're balling out. But some people think, oh, they're filming this yesterday and now they're playing bad today. It's like, no, that's not what it is. It's like everything comes in advance and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. You can't knock what these guys are doing on their private time. It don't take that long to record a podcast. They have a big enough podcast where all they probably have to do is just sit down in the chair and just wait for them to say, okay, action. And they go do their thing. Hour, 2 hours, you're done. So I don't have an issue with it, especially when it comes to Jalen and Josh Hart, because when I look at this team, those are up there with Mikal Bridges, the players who you worry about the least, because every day they bring it. Yeah. Every single day.
It's like if you're playing with your heart, you're playing, giving everything you got. It's like, granted, yes, Brunson didn't have a great game yesterday, but that's like rare. Right. He's always coming through with something.
He had a bad night. So, with those guys, you never have to worry about, maturity issues. Are they focused on the right things? No, I'm not worried about that, man. You're looking at Brunson. You just talked about how this offense is zooming. Career highs in assists. Josh Hart, career highs in assists. Rebounding like that. Like, these guys come to work every day. They're locked in. They're focused. I like that, especially with Brunson. We've been talking about it several times on this show. I like the way that he's elevating his brand. I like that in his own way. I think him and his team are doing a fantastic job of positioning him amongst the stars of this league, especially.
And I think that was my bad.
No, I was just saying, just representing the jersey. I think he's doing a good job.
Absolutely. I think I think that was the biggest thing when even pitching him for All-Star last year. I know that was with it even being his first time and stuff. The brand wasn't as big as it is today. But what happened? We started seeing him in more commercials. They got the podcast and stuff. I remember I was invited out to Fanatics Fest, and then I'm seeing them do a live podcast with Tom Brady, Lil Wayne, and Speed and stuff that. And it's like, all these things are just going to help the brand even more to help bring a case of, okay, we got one of the best PGs in the league. And then you got people like Kendrick Perkins going out there saying Big Body Brunson, we got him, all of this stuff. All of these conversations, all of these looks help the brand to the point that it's like, all right, it coincides with his game at the end of the day. Yeah. And then we have something to preach and, be proud of and all that.
Yeah, there you go, man. So what do you guys think in the chat about that, man? What do you guys think? Do you have an issue with these guys filming the Roommates podcast? Rate the take in the chat. Let us know your comments, man, in the comment section. CP the Franchise. Iman Nunez on the Lunchtime Live, presented by SeatGeek. Ryan Manuel, Chuck D, man, another $5 super chat. Says the Roommates podcast, yes, it's a good thing to do with the downtime. 40 years ago, that downtime was cocaine in the NBA. It keeps them in the game. All right, so proper perspective from a legend that has seen it all. And he's absolutely right. You know what I mean? He's absolutely right, man. Before me and you time, Iman, they was getting after it. They out there chasing the dragon all night long. Studio 54. Who knows what's coming into the locker room. And then they going out on the court and dropping a double-double on your head. Those are different days.
Very different. Shout out to the Ryan Manuel.
Yeah. Chuck putting it in perspective.
Oh man, that should go for everybody that's complaining about the podcast.
Right.
Look at that. Right. That's some positive stuff happening. Now they're making money.
Yeah, man. Positive, man. And speaking of positive, man, let's talk about you, man. What's going on in your career? Tell the people more about who Iman Nunez is and what's going on with you this year.
Man, this year has been incredible. We've had a super busy year. We literally just dropped our project that I have collaborated with On The Radar. It's a project called Phases Volume 2. We dropped it deluxe. And it's, I don't know, there's been a lot of noise. We finally had a On The Radar cipher that went pretty viral everywhere. It was with our boy Fergie Baby, where there's a song called Truly's, BBs, and Canes that started going everywhere. And it was based off of that cipher that we put together.
Nice.
So... we had a show. We've been doing shows in Brooklyn. Every time people pass by to New York, we've been doing shows with people like Reason, Conway the Machine. Just flew back from Charlotte, opening up for Rhapsody.
Nice.
Just been really dope. And I think the coolest thing about this is that being somebody from Yonkers, New York, I'm able to put on for this city as much as I possibly can and talk about it everywhere I go. And because, we already got our legends over here. We got the Locks, we got DMX, and rest in peace, and we got Mary J. Blige. And there's a lot of talent out here at the end of the day. So to be able to be a representation of that and to, even get the stamp of approval from my OGs, like the Locks and stuff, it's been cool to just get around and gain the respect for an art form that I care about so much.
No, that's what's up, man. That's a beautiful story. And as you say, man, you hail from YO. Shout out to 914, man. We got a lot of fans in that area as well. You mentioned some of the legends, the Locks, one of my favorite groups of all time, without question. Have those guys gave you any game as you come up? What was some of the advice that those guys are giving you?
Absolutely. So I was fortunate enough to be, I pretty much grew as an artist at D Block. So, I would be with Styles, Kiss, and Chic every single day. They would the thing that I noticed that we were there for was to pretty much motivate each other in a way of they brought one of our OGs, his name is Poobs. Shout out to
Yeah.
He brought us in, and it was more like, yo, these are what my young guys are doing, and we were hungry. I wouldn't ask for anything. I wouldn't, I would just be there and just stay ready. So it was like I would constantly write to everything. It got to the point I was writing to a beat that Kevin Durant made. Wow. people don't even know that he produces too. There was a beat there that they were working on that was Kevin Durant, and that was cool.
Funny.
So it's like, even to be able to, just hoping to get the chance to be like, hey, what you got? And I'll be ready there all the time. So something that I learned from them was be yourself, as cliche as that sounds, because if you got these OGs that are, their brand is a certain thing, I'm the complete opposite of that. See what I'm saying? So even though we're from the same places and stuff, at the end of the day, I was always more of the, like, the stories of like the J. Cole's, the Kanye's and stuff, like the Backpack Kid. I was not out in the street doing all this type of stuff. So it was like, to gain the respect from them off of them being like you being yourself, and they're not putting on a facade, they're not putting on a mask for people to see, they're just them, and you gotta respect the fact that they are them. You don't have to like me at all this type of stuff, but at the end of the day, you're gonna respect the fact that I am who I am and not giving you some facade. So that's probably one of the biggest things that I learned from them. And, they're always showing love. That's family at the end of the day. I actually just brought out Styles at my show in Brooklyn.
Nice.
And we shocked the fans out with that one. So that was an incredible time. You got to come out one of these days.
Let me know, man. Let me know. Send me the invite, man. I'll be out there, man. We'll definitely support. And I was watching an interview, and the artist name forgets me. He was speaking to Elliott Wilson.
Yes.
What's the artist name?
Are you talking about the clip that
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what it was my boy Gabe P. He's the owner of On the Radar. And he was talking with Elliott Wilson, and they were talking about the different scenes of New York City. And it was cool because that was a moment where he said, outside of the drill, the sexy drill and all this stuff, there's also like a boom bap side, or like a conscious rap of people who's really talking about like, and here are these are the people that are holding the torch with that. So it was cool to hear our name, like me, Iman Nunez, HD Bendove, Life of Tom, Nico Brim, Fergie Baby, and stuff. Like, those are the people that he was mentioning, and it was really cool to see that. And of course, there's incredible artists doing that, but to be able to, it's different when other people are out there speaking for you. Yeah. And you're not the one going out to advocate all these things. It's like, all right, it's cool to see that on those type of platforms and stuff. So it was appreciated. And Elliott Wilson definitely tapped in after that and showed love and all that. So it was cool. Yeah, that's dope, man, because especially when I hear your music, that's my era, right? And so when I hear your music, it's very refreshing to hear that, that sound, that style is still there. Not a knock on the other styles and genres and things of that nature, because everybody is carving out their own lane. But just for my ears, when I hear your music, that's what I hear, and it's very refreshing, man. You put a lot of passion into it, and I think you represent the city very, very well, man. So keep going, and we got to get you back on the show, man. Definitely got to get you back on the show soon, man. Yes, sir, man. I'm always willing to talk Knicks. This is I don't miss a game. Whether I'm in the studio, driving at an event, I have the game on at all times. So I'm not missing the game. I'm here. I'm a fan of the show as well. I definitely tune in and all that. I know CK and Alex, all like, hey, that I'm here. Whenever you need me, I'm here, man. Yeah, man. Big salute to the team. All right, man. Iman Nunez in the building. Iman, appreciate the time, bro. We'll chop it up again soon, man. Thanks for having me, man. Thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, folks. That's our guy, Iman Nunez, man. Make sure you guys follow him at Iman Nunez on Instagram. Iman, you on Twitter as well, right? I don't use Twitter like that. I just use it to catch up primarily. Instagram primarily. I just use Twitter to just keep up on news and stuff. Okay. All right, cool, man. All right, definitely appreciate that again. So make sure you guys tap in with Iman there.
And that's that, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Appreciate everybody for tapping in with us. Hey, it's a tough loss last night, but this is what we do in the number one show for the fans, by the fans, man. We come together, we talk about it as a family, and we just keep it pushing from there, man. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hope you guys all enjoyed tonight's show. Today's show, rather. And we're going to bring it back, man. We will be back on probably tomorrow. So I was talking to our guy, Starberry, our guy, Stefan Bondy. I think he wants to come in, man. Starberry always got a lot to say. We were trying to get him on and connect with him today, but scheduling conflicts, he couldn't make it. So we're going to try to get Starberry on tomorrow's Lunchtime Live as we head into the weekend and these Knicks head down to Disney World. Instagram, salute to you guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow as well when Steph comes on. Thanks to everybody on the Instagram side for tapping in. I'm going to sign off on the Instagram side and wrap them on the YouTube fam for just a little bit, man. Who we got on the YouTube side of things? My 2 cents in the building. Salute to you. That was a good show, man. I thought that was a good format. You know, different guests. Allow each guest to kind of have their spotlight. Maybe we'll do that, man. Like kind of like a multi-guest show. Different walks of life. I like bringing in, you know, people from different walks of life, different industries. Younger generation doing a damn thing. Shout out to Iman Nunez, a diehard among us. You know, we got Knicks fans of doing a lot of good things, man. Randall Neptune said, "Dude's music is fire." Yeah, absolutely, man. Represents well. Who else we got in here? Ryan Animal Chuck D. Never misses a show. JJ, I see you in here. Salute to JJ. Junior Caroma, salute to Junior. Speaking of Junior and the New York Giants, man, I forgot to mention last night's show. Shedeur Sanders got a big ovation from MSG last night. I mean, it was like his pops Dion was in the crowd, you know. Shedeur Sanders got a big ovation. Is that our future quarterback? I don't know, but let's talk about it, man. Let me know what you guys think, man. I was a little intrigued, you know. I don't know how the star power of Dion and you know, the conservative ways of the Mara, I don't know if that can gel in the city. But hey, I just want to see talent in here. I want my guy Malik Neighbors to be happy. And if it's going to be Shedeur Sanders, bring him in. But, and I'm going off script. I'm going on the football stuff. You know, the guy Nevin Shapiro, the former Miami booster, he did a little bit of a bid for lying to the feds back a couple years ago. He came out and said Cam Ward to the Giants is a lock. We'll have to wait and see, man. Early stuff. Still got, unfortunately, more games of football, Giants football to watch. But we'll see, man. Either way, remember that this show is available in audio podcast format. No reason to miss it. And salute to our sponsors, man. SeatGeek.com or use the SeatGeek app for 10% off your order up to $20. All right, gang. Great show, man. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. CP the franchise. I'm out of here. Peace.